Back to the 11th hour, and I am super excited. I am super, 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 super excited, man. I mean, you want to know why I'm excited? Thank you so much for asking me. I'm excited because football season is back. It is back, and I cannot wait. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Football season is back, and I will be on the couch pretty much this whole weekend, week 0, looking at some football. I've been waiting on this because it's kind of like my relaxing time. I remember when we first, like, in our first house, every Saturday, man, I used to just, I use this as an excuse, and my wife knew what I was doing. She caught on real quick. I used to want to wash clothes all day on Saturday so I can sit there and watch TV and fold clothes. And she was like, "You ain't gonna be folding clothes every weekend." She said, "I know what you're doing. You just trying to watch some football." So she caught on real quick with that with that little trick that I was doing. I was like, "At least I'm doing, at least I'm folding clothes." She was like, "Nah, you trying to get over." So but I tell you what, though, I tell you what, she's come a long way, man. I thank God for that, because when we first got married, she was like not watching football at all. She was like, "I'm not watching football. We gonna have to do something else." But praise God, over the course of years, and God softening my heart to children, we started having kids, and when our boys started playing football, her heart had gotten a little soft for football. So now she be telling me, "Hey, what game coming on this weekend? Hey, we need to be ready for this game tonight." Like, she cooking wings and getting nachos ready. And I'm like, "Yes, sir, Lord, you hook me up. I appreciate you, God. I appreciate you." So she's more excited about watching football than I am. It's crazy because sometimes I can come home, like I can come home from work, and she's watching old football games off of YouTube. And I'm like, "Girl, you into this thing for real, right?" And she's just like, "I don't know. It's just something about it now." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Thank you. Thank you." Now, one thing that she wished the Lord would continue to work with me on is watching some of them little movies that she be like watching. Now I don't know if I'm gonna ever get to that point, because but y'all know how them Hallmark Christmas movies be, man. I'm like, now I just can't do them. Like, I watch about like 5 minutes of that, and I'm like, I'm out. And that's a whole nother subject. Y'all don't even want to get on that, because I could probably get in trouble by the end of the day. But today, man, I want to talk about our kids and sports and athletics and academics. A lot of our kids, man, they are so excited about going into that field and going into sports and doing things like that. But when we talk about being in the 11th hour, there are some decisions they got to make. Some and some of the hardest decisions that our kids have to make is, how much time do I put on the football field and how much time do I put in the classroom? And so sometimes they can get in there, man, and they can't really figure that out, because they put so much into drills and training and eating right and being on the football field or the basketball court or the baseball field, soccer field, running, whatever they decide to do, that they really forget about the other side, which is, you got to have those academics too, because your academics have to match your athletics. And so I came up with this little quote that I use at my job when I'm talking to the young men and women down there. I tell them all the time, I say, "Don't let your athletics open a door that your academics close." So your athleticism can open up a door to go to some great schools or have opportunities to do some great things on the next level. But then your academics will shut them doors because you haven't kept up with your academics along with your athletics. And that's a decision that they have to make. They have to decide that, I got to do both. Like, and so as a parent, how do we continue to push that? Now, I had a real short baseball stint. I played baseball back in the day, and really enjoyed baseball, and and really had fun doing it. And at times, how you always kind of go back and say, "Man, I wonder what," or "I wonder if." And so I have that kind of thought every now and then about baseball. Like, if I really would have stuck with it, what really could have happened? My wife tell me all the time, she said, "If you'd have stayed in baseball, me and you wouldn't be together, because you'd have been somewhere else, and you'd been in the major leagues, and you'd been found somebody else, and you've been off all." And I was like, "Well, God knew, so that's why I didn't continue to play." But I do enjoy it now. I do have one. Listen, y'all, I do have one football story that when I was in middle school, way back in like 7 moons ago when I when I played at Central Middle School. We did win the state championship. I can brag on that one. Now that's the one time I did play ball. But yeah, football just wasn't for me. I enjoy watching it, but to actually get in there and play it, it just wasn't for me. So I'm cool with that. But our kids today, it's so many channels on YouTube, and so many things being posted on TikTok, and all these things where our young people are watching these athletes that are doing some great things. But I always wonder, man, how great would it be if these athletes not only push athleticism and what it can bring you, but also push the academic side too. Like, because a lot of times these sports figures, they fail to realize that everybody's not like you. Like, everybody can't be LeBron, everybody can't be a Russell Wilson or Tom Brady or some of these great players. You're just the average Joe. You may be the bench warmer. Even the bench warmer, man, he still has to put in work. So getting to those levels is not as easy as our kids think. And so today I just want to talk a little bit about that. And a lot of you parents that are listening, you know a lot of this already. So what I would love for you to do, if you're listening and your children don't know, I would love for you to pass some of this information along. And even if you don't know it, sometimes you need to know that getting your child to that level is not that easy. I don't know about you, but man, every time I go to a little league football game or a little league baseball game or a little league soccer game, man, you have those fanatic parents that are just pushing their kids like, okay, he's like 8. Man, like, he's like 8. Like, he's 8. He's not no Brett Favre at 8. Come on now. He's not gonna do that at 8. He's just learning. Like, he's just learning. So, we all think our kids are superstars. We all think our kids are going to that next level. We all think our kids, not all of us, but most of us think our kids are going to get to that level. But in reality, they're not, because it's so hard to get there. It's a job in itself. And I love my son, my oldest son. We talked about it because, he did well in high school. He was really good. He was a really good defensive end in high school. And, he had a couple opportunities to go play ball. And, and then he went to play ball. And I told him, I said, man, when you go play ball in college, dude, it's a whole new level. Like, dude, that becomes your life. Like, it's a business now. In high school and middle school and all of that, it was a game. Everybody had fun and it was just a great time. And we just out to win. But man, when you get to college, nah, bro, it's a business. Like, you got to go to work. Like, that's your job. And so, because you hear a lot of athletes talk about that, it goes from being a fun game to a business, because, you're there on scholarship, they're expecting you to win. And if you can't keep your grades up, you don't keep your scholarship. And I mean, it becomes more than just a game. And so he's kind of experiencing that right now. And, he honestly admitted that, it's tougher than he thought, but I know that he can do it. That's what he loves to do. I know most definitely he's going to be a standout there, because, once you get to college, man, everybody was the best player on their team. Not 2 or 3, but everybody was the best player on their team, because in the Pee Wee League, boy, you could show out. If you the fastest dude on the team, yeah, you pretty much getting like 20 touchdowns every time you play. Because you the fastest one. And, I'm not really saying anything that a lot of you guys don't already know, but, every time you move up, it's not just you no more. There's more guys that are just as good as you are. And parents, man, man, if I could just, my wife sometimes, I tell my wife, when I go to the game now, I just kind of just sit now. I don't really say that much anymore. I just kind of sit, because I understand that the process is not that easy. But man, sometimes I hear these parents and they're just going ballistic up in the stands. And, my wife told me when I used to do that, she said, well, why don't you go coach? I was like, what do you mean? She's like, you up here screaming and hollering and telling the coaches what they need to be doing. Why don't you go coach? And I was like, yeah, you got a great point right there. Let me just sit down right here and just enjoy and just enjoy this game right here. So, man, I don't say that in a harsh way. And I know she didn't mean it in a harsh way, but she was like, come on now, we can sit up here in the stands and say a lot. And then, I mean, sometimes you can see some things or you notice some things, but man, when I did coach, actually, I did coach for a little while. I coached with my nephew. We did coach in the city league, and I'm telling you, yeah, coaching ain't for me either because I'm just too passionate about winning. I just don't like to lose, and so it is hard. I will say it is hard, but if we really stay engaged with our kids and stay engaged to the point where we tell them, look, you do have a possibility of going. I mean, there is a possibility of you going, but you also got to know that you got to put in some work. Like you got to put in some serious work to make that happen. So one of my favorite quotes that I love to quote is from Usain Bolt. And I don't know if you know who that guy is. I mean, if you know who Usain Bolt is, this guy is serious about what he does. And I'm going to paraphrase his quote a little bit because it is kind of long. But basically, he says, dreams are free, but goals cost. Are you willing to pay the cost to have your dreams come true? And dreams are free. Like dreams don't cost anything. These kids talk about going, to the NBA and the NFL and, major leagues and doing all these great things. That's free. Like that don't cost you anything to do that. But like he said, making that dream come true is going to cost some work. It's going to cost you something to make that dream come true. And for a lot of our kids, they don't really understand what that means. And that means that if you're planning on going to the next level, you're going to have to put in work, and not just on the field, but off the field. I'm telling you, y'all can say it now. I'm from Murfreesboro. I'm from this area. I really don't try to choose particular college teams as like, this is my team, because I just love football. So when somebody say, who's your favorite college football team? I really don't have one. I just love watching football. I really do. I just love watching it. But I know some of y'all gonna say you need to pull for Tennessee because you're here in Tennessee. Now I like to see Tennessee win. Now if they're on TV, I'm gonna watch them. But Nick Saban, I heard a quote from him. Well, it wasn't a quote, but he was at a press conference, and some of y'all might have heard it. And he was talking about, when they go recruit kids from high school, they listen for the and the but. And some of y'all may have heard this, the and the but, which is a great thing because he said, I don't only want to hear what you do on the field. I want to hear about the and. Like he's great on the field and he does good in the classroom. He's great on the field and he does great things in the community. He's great on the field and it's the and that he listens for. But if he ever hears a but, ooh, that's going to be a problem. He said that's going to always be a problem. So he's saying that he's good on the field, but in that classroom, you may have to push him a little bit. He's great on the field, but he's not going to do anything. So he said it's the and the but. And so as parents and as, mentors and, and leaders in our community, we always want to push our children or lead our children in the way of the and, not the but. And that's where the work comes in, is teaching our kids that it's the and, but not the but is what we want them to do. So I looked up some things, and some of you may know this, some of you may not. This was really interesting to me because I looked up some things about, going to the next level from high school to college. And so I looked up some statistics, and the statistics are they're really amazing. I'm telling you, they are amazing. So I want to give y'all some numbers real quick. So kids that are going from high school into college that are expected to play on the next level. Now, these numbers are just for kids that are going to, let's just say, a D2 or less school. So I'm gonna hold off on the numbers for the D1 schools, and I'm gonna give you numbers for D2 or less, or schools that are not, the D1s or the higher schools. These are just kids that are just trying just to go to college. Now for baseball, it's 8-1. It's 1-8. I'm sorry, it's 1-8. It's 1-8 that makes it to the next level. In basketball, it's 1-18. Football, it's 1-11. Soccer is 1-14, and in tennis, it's 1-27. So your chances of making it to the next level at just a regular college is small. It's small. So just putting in the work to go to, a college is just say, I just want to go play football. That's all I want to do. I just want to go play. I don't care where I go. I just want to go play football. You have a 1 in 11 chance of even going to a college to even play football. That's amazing in itself. But these numbers right here is what really kind of blew my mind. Now we're going to go to a D1 school. So now we're talking full scholarships, full ride. They're giving you everything that you need. And your work is your performance on the field. That's what keeps you in your scholarship. That's what keeps you in your money. For baseball, it's 1 in 47. For basketball, it's 1 in 116. For football, it's 1 in 136. And soccer, it's 1 in 119. And for tennis, it's 1 in 174. Man, look, listen, let me say this. Well, I'm telling you, listen, y'all, I'm telling you, these are some high numbers. So that means you have to be a super, super, super standout. Your child or your student has to be a super duper standout to make it to that level. And listen, and it's not just because of what they can, it is because of what they can do on the field. That's why they get the scouts to come and the schools that want them, but it's also the performance that they have in the classroom that gets them these scholarships. And so our kids, they're in this battle because they want to perform on the field, but then some of them don't want to perform in the classroom. And so now you got this decision to make to say, hey, listen, I know what your goal is and I know what you're trying to do, but it's going to take you to do both of these to make this happen. So now making it to the next level, which is going professional, it makes it even crazier, the numbers, because now you're talking about all the colleges that we have out there and everybody's trying to make it to the next level. Those athletes, they're all have these hopes and dreams of making it to the next level. So listen to this. So it says baseball. Now this is coming from Sidearm Reports that I got these numbers from, and this is from NCAA. Okay, so it says out of 8,000 draft eligible NCAA baseball players, only 791 are drafted by the MLB. Out of 8,000, only 791 are drafted by the MLB. And it says for men's basketball, out of 4,181 draft eligible. Now, that word means eligible. NCAA men's basketball players, only 52 are drafted. Now, women's basketball, out of 3,669 draft eligible NCAA women's basketball players, only 31 are drafted into the WNBA. Football, out of 16,380 draft eligible NCAA players, only 254 are drafted into the NFL. Out of 16,000, only 254 are drafted into the NFL. So now we're looking at eligible. Now that doesn't mean some kids who don't, some kids may get these tryouts for the NFL teams and may be able to get on as a walk-on, or they may go somewhere else. But we're just talking about draft eligible. Okay, men's hockey, out of 961 draft eligible NCAA men's hockey players, 71 are drafted to the NHL. Y'all see how hard it is to get in? Like, it is super hard. It's not as easy as we think. And these kids, unfortunately, they go into athletics with these high expectations of getting to the next level, but they don't realize how hard, man, look how hard it is just to be a parent. I mean, how many of us go from wanting to have a great girlfriend and then say, I want her to be my wife, and then I want us to have children, and then we're going to be a family. Yeah, see how that's been working here lately. So if that's hard, can you not imagine how hard it is to do these sports? Because like I said, once you go from Pee Wee League to middle school to high school, once you hit that college, man, it's a business. And now you can't say you got a headache or my foot hurt or my head hurts or my finger hurts or I just don't feel it. No, they're not trying to hear that no more. So now you got to make these decisions. Do I get up and go to practice? Do I eat right? Do I put down the hot Takis and the Mountain Dew? And do I, drink water and eat healthy? Do I work out? Do I do my drills? Do I watch film? Now you have to make these decisions, because all of these decisions will decide where you get to go. And from this report, from Sidearm Reports, it sounds like that only a few people are willing to make that decision. And I say the same way with our families. Like, there's only a few men that are willing to make that decision to stay in their families and make it work. Okay, I'm not even gonna get on that, because that'll just start a whole new conversation. All right, so look, check this out. So now I want to talk about this, because sometimes we even miss this. Now, if they make it to the league, there's no guarantee that they're even going to stay there. Like, even if they make it, there's no guarantees that they're even going to stay there long enough to have these millions and millions of dollars that they're looking for. So I want to give you guys some numbers real quick to talk about that. So the average stay in Major League Baseball is 5.6 years. And that comes from the New York Times reports. 5.6 years is the average stay in Major League Baseball. In the NFL, which we all know, this has been one of the slogans for them. The NFL stands for not for long. 3.5. That's the average. 3.5 years. For the NBA, it's 4.5 years. And that comes from Jarvis Clark. He's a sports writer. And then the WNBA, for all you ladies out there that want to get into the WNBA, 3.5 years. And that comes from Tamika Catchings. And now she used to play for, the Indiana Fever, but now she's a sports writer. You see how short a time you have? I mean, even if you make it to these leagues, there is no guarantee that you're going to stay. And here's the thing. If you make it to these leagues, God bless you. God bless you if you make it to these leagues. God bless you. I mean, man, because if you get there, you're going to be happy. But now, can you stay? And I think Deion Sanders said it once. He said, it's not about just getting there. It's about staying. So once you get there, can you stay? Can you stay longer than the average? Because if you don't stay, what you going to do if you get out? If you only do 3.5 years in the NFL, trust me, you ain't making no $30 million. You're not making 30 million in no 3.5 years. And I wish I could have my good friend back on here, Bob Gerard. Y'all remember Bob when he came on and he talked a little bit about fatherhood and being a husband. Well, being a banker, man, he really broke some numbers down to me that I don't even think kids even think about, because you got taxes and you got to pay your agent, and then you got to pay all these fees. I mean, you get a contract, you sign a contract for let's just say you sign a contract for $3 million. You think that's a lot of money. Well, your agent going to take pretty much most of that anyway, because he's going to take that for his fees. And then you got to pay the taxes on the $3 million that your agent done took most of it on. Then you try to go buy you a house. Then you try to go buy you a couple cars. Man, that money is gone. Like, that money is gone, because the bigger the house, the bigger the taxes. The bigger the house, the bigger the payments. The bigger the house, the more electricity, the more water, the more landscaping, all of that stuff, man. So now that 3 million really dwindles down to almost maybe $3,000 really at the end of the day. So what do our kids do? So now they're in another 11th hour situation, because now they got to say, okay, I just got cut from my team. I've been on my team for 3 years. They just cut me. I had 5 million, but now after I done paid everybody and, got my mama a house and gave my sister 500,000, gave my brother 500, and I thought I'd help my boy out. Now I don't have no money. Now what do they do? So that's why we got to tell our kids, it's not just about the athletics, but it's also about your academics. And as parents, it's part of our job to not only just push them on the field, but we also need to push them in the classroom. Now I know, because I go through these scenarios with my kids too. I mean, Daddy, I don't like school. Daddy, I don't want to be in school no more. Daddy, I don't want to do this. They don't teach you nothing in the classroom, and the teachers this and the teachers that. I get all of that. I understand all of that. But at the end of the day, You still gonna need that education. At the end of the day, you're still gonna have to get in that classroom and make it work, because education, nobody can take that from you. Now they can take, you can lose your athletics where you get hurt or where you get cut or something happens, or you get sick or anything, and that can be taken away from you. But your education and your knowledge can never be taken away from you. Because once your life is over, you got to, in athletics, once your life is over in that area, what do you fall back on? It's great if they make it to the league. I'm excited for every kid that makes it. I'm excited for them. I'm excited for their families. I'm excited that they put in the work on the field, but I also want to be just as excited that they put the work in off the field. These young men, we see stories all the time of baseball players and major league players that make millions and millions and millions of dollars, but then when their season is over, they're broke. Like, they have no money. Why is that? It's because bad investments. Sometimes they invest in some stuff that didn't make them as much money as they thought it was going to make. And sometimes they don't watch their money because they don't know how to do their money. I remember Eric was on here a while back. It's been a while back when Mr. Eric Merriweather of Northwestern Mutual, he was on here and he was talking about, you have to learn how to take care of your money. Like, don't put all your trust in somebody to take care of your money. You have to learn how to do that. So a lot of these players do that. They get the money, and then they hire somebody to take care of their money. Then they don't never check up on their money. They don't know where their money's going. Excuse me. They don't know what's happening with their money. And then when they need their money, it's gone. And the accountant is not going to he's not going to keep up with that for you like you think, especially if he knows if you're not going to be watching him and staying up with him, he's not going to keep you informed. So it's your job to make sure you stay informed. So once again, like I said, our athletics is great. I love going to football games. Excuse me. I love watching football. Excuse me. I love going to baseball. I love going to soccer. Tennis. I'm working on tennis, but I like watching sports, but I also like to hear about what these young men and women are doing off the court, because that's what's most important. And so our academics and our athleticism have to match. They have to be on the same level, because that means that you're not only willing just to put in the work on the field, but they are also willing to put in the work off the field. When we see that, that means that there's a balance. There's a balance that you've learned how to balance both. And I see a lot of young men. I watch the combine. I don't know if a lot of you guys watch the combine. I'm pretty sure we do, because it's a popular thing. I watch the NFL combine, and a lot of those young men, they know they may not even make it to the NFL. They know they may not have that opportunity to go. But one thing that these gentlemen always say is that if I never would have put in the work, or if I never would have tried, I never knew what else I could do. So a lot of times we are, as parents, we are pushing our children, because we want them to know that even in that moment that you may not make it to that level, but now you know that there's other things that you can do. Now you know that if I can accomplish this, then most definitely I can do this too. Because if I put in the work for this, then I most definitely can put in the work for this. If I can sit out on that football field and run drills for 2 hours straight, sweating in the hot sun, not drinking no water, just pushing myself as hard as I can till I can just hardly breathe, because I want to get better on that football field, then man, I know that I can push myself in this classroom, that I can get in these books and I can study and I can do what I need to do to make things worse. To make things work. I don't know why I said worse, to make things work for me. So they began to learn that if I could do it on this end, I can do it on this end too. One of the movies that and it's not a movie, it's like a docu deal. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Last Chance U, that comes on Netflix. I don't know if you watched it, but I watch them. I watch all of them, and it's entertaining and sad all at the same time. It's entertaining because you get to see what these young men go through. You get to see what they go through to achieve their dreams and achieve their goals of actually trying to make it to the NFL. But it's sad on the other end, because you see what these young men go through and see what they have to deal with to make it to the NFL. And one of the things that always sticks out to me is, and I try, and I've had my sons to watch it, and I also have my daughter to watch it too. One of the things that stick out to me more than anything is that they want to be successful on the field, but they don't want to put in the work in the classroom. And that's why they're on this show. Not just that, there's some other people that ended up at some of these universities because of some bad decisions that they made at some D1 schools that sent them there. But most of them learn their lesson that are sent. But most of these young men, they struggle in the classroom because they don't want to put in the work. They understand the work on the field, but they don't understand the work in the classroom. It's like you can't have one without the other. Like, you cannot play sports if you're not passing in the classroom. Now, back in the day when I grew up, about 7-8 moons ago, man, they would take you. Like, they didn't care if your GPA was 0.58. Like, if you could sack the quarterback, dude, they gonna take you. Like, when I grew up, and I tell my boys all the time, we laugh about it. I tell them all the time, dude, they didn't care what you did in school, bro. As long as you could sack the quarterback, run that ball, catch that ball, they were gonna take you. They don't care what kind of trouble you've been in, how much dope you smoked, and all. They didn't care. As long as you could help them win, they were gonna take you. Well, them times are over. That they are over. They're checking your social media. They're checking out who you hanging with. They're checking out your mama, your daddy, your grandmama, your sister, your brother, your next door neighbor. They're checking up on everything. So, it don't work like that anymore. So you're going to have both of them. You're going to have that work on the field and off the field. And so when I watch that Last Chance U, and I see the people that are on that show, and I think about these young men, and one of the things that really pop out to me is that there's several things that pop out, but one of the biggest things that pop out, other than the fact that they don't want to put the work in the classroom, is that these young men must have been such great superstars at their high school that the high schools didn't make them put in the work. Like, they didn't make them put in the work, because as long as you're doing what you're doing on the field, we'll just push you through the classroom to get you to the next level. So now they never learned the discipline of the classroom. So now all of this is catching up with them, because now they're at this level, at this Last Chance U, where they're great on the field, but they're struggling in the classroom. They're forgetting their pencils, they're forgetting their backpacks, they're forgetting their notebooks, they're oversleeping, they're coming up to class with nothing at all. They don't know how to write a paragraph, they don't know how to write a sentence. There's a lot of things that you would think that would be basic that they should know, that they don't know, and that's hurtful and harmful. And really, at the end of the day, we've done them a disservice, because now if they don't make it, or if they fell out of the junior college, then what do they fall back on? So now, if they don't fall back on something through education, what do they fall back on to do? Do they just go back home and like Randy Moss say, they go back home and hang up under the tree at the 7-Eleven where everybody else was? Or do we push them, and do we help them understand that you may not make it in this field in football, but at least you have an education that will help you go do something else? And that's the hard part. And that's where, as parents and as leaders, as teachers, that, we struggle with that, because it's really trying to get them to see and understand that don't just let your athletics do something for you that your academics shuts down. And that's hard for our kids to understand. I mean, I love sports. I do. I really do. I love sports. I love what sports could teach us. But it's hard to make it to the next level when you struggle on the level that you're on, and kids don't understand that either. Like, how do you make it to the next level when you can't even deal with the level that you're on? Dude, you're in high school and you can't get along with your coach. You're in high school and you can't get along with your teammates. You're in high school and you can't stay on your team. So how do you get to the next level if you can't do that? I mean, athletics can open up a window for a whole lot. I tell my daughter all the time, I mean, like, if praise God if you make it to the WNBA. Praise God if you do. I mean, that will open up a window for you to go do a whole lot of stuff. You can go see the world. You can experience some things that, mom and daddy can't do for you. You'll be able to travel. I mean, it's just a lot of things you'll be able to do. So praise God for you. Same thing for my sons. I mean, if they make it to the next level, praise God for them. Even if they just go to college on their athletics. Praise God for that, because that's the opportunity that they get that I didn't get to do. So athletics can do a lot for you. I mean, it can do a lot for you, but then your academics can do even more. So whatever your athletics can do for you, your academics can do even more. And I know we struggle. I know we struggle in the schools, and I know schools have a hard time, what we would say, getting things together. But still, if we put these two together, then we know and understand that both of these things can work for the good. They can work for the good if we get our kids focused and get them on the right track. And sometimes that's really hard. So I feel for our coaches. I do. I feel for our coaches, because everybody wants to be a superstar. You got kids switching schools. This whole NIL thing, I've heard the good and the bad. I've heard both. I've heard the good and the bad about the NIL. And most from what I've been hearing, which I'm not an expert on it, I'm just kind of third handing all of this. From what I've been hearing, a lot of these people think this NIL is going to really destroy the college game, because these kids are just jumping from school to school, and I do think they deserve some stuff, because in reality, some of these kids do bring in a lot of money for these colleges. But you can't jump from school to school. Like, you just jumping from school to school, and a lot of expert thinks that at the end of the day, this may be something that may not work as well as they think. But who knows? There's so much money thrown around in that thing, man. I don't even want to really get into that. But I'm glad that something is being done for our young men and women that put in the work for these schools. So a great opportunity for them. So kudos for them to getting that done. But I want to talk about our high school kids, and I just want to continue to share about making these great decisions for our children, and also giving them the reality of it. Like, when you look at these numbers, like, our kids don't realize how difficult it is to get to that next level. And sometimes you just have to throw the numbers out there, like, just give them the numbers and have them look to let them know that it's not as easy as you think. Because even here, I mean, now, living here in Murfreesboro in Middle Tennessee, it's a hotbed for athletics. Come on, y'all have to agree. It's a hotbed for athletics. I mean, especially with basketball and football, man. We have a lot of kids from this area that are making it to the next level. I mean, Jalen Ramsey is one that I noticed from this area. What's the young man that played for the Tennessee Titans that went to MTSU? He made it to the next level. There's a couple guys from that. I mean, this is a hotbed right now. Middle Tennessee is growing. Like, a lot of our kids have a lot of opportunities to make it to the next level. But I also want to let our kids know, and I also want to let parents know, that we also have to keep them informed about if you don't make it, what are you going to do? And we have to keep them inspired. We have to keep them going. We have to keep them motivated. We have to let them know that there are some tools and some things that you can use to stay on the right track. We have to let them know that, everybody has dreams, but everybody don't want to put in the work to make those dreams come true. And so no matter what your dream is, now I'll say this, that quote that Usain Bolt has, I would say that's for everything. No matter what your dream is, whether you want to be, whether you want to be an astronaut, or whether you want to be a great husband, or you want to be a great wife, or you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, you would throw out the normal stuff, or pediatrician, or you want to be an underwater welder. No matter what you want to, whatever your dream is, you still gonna have to put in the work to make that happen. And so the work is always the hard part. Talking about it is easy, but putting in the work is the hard part. And I'm telling you, Kobe Bryant, I mean, when I listen to a lot of stuff that he talks about, I mean, like everybody said, he had this mentality that was just crazy, the way he wanted to get so much better. But that's why he was Kobe Bryant, because the way he thought was like nobody else could think. So I just want to end with this. And I'm gonna give y'all permission to use this. I'm gonna just tell you, if you ever think about it, I'm gonna give you permission to use it, because I love it. Your athleticism can open up doors that your academics can close. So don't let that happen. Let your kids get on the field, let them have fun, let them enjoy themselves, but let them know that they need to do the same thing in the classroom. Well, that's about all I got. I want y'all to hit me up on social media. You get a chance, check me out, listen to the podcast, share it, like it, And please subscribe and let me know what you think about what we talk about here on the 11th hour, where we try to make decisions in life. And we always try to make the positive decision in what we do. Go make movements, not just moments. This is your boy, Pastor Mike, aka 90s number 5, and I'm out. Peace.